The book of Revelation, the last book of the Bible, describes the enemy of the people of God in terms that very much sound like the description you find in the book of Isaiah. It's a battle between Babylon and Jerusalem. It's a battle between the king of Babylon and the king of Jerusalem. It's a battle between Satan, Lucifer, and Jesus Christ. In Revelation 14, it is said, "Fallen, fallen is Babylon." That is a quotation from Isaiah 21:9. And then that quotation is repeated in Revelation 18:2, and in verse 4 it said, "Come out of her, my people," certainly inspired more or less directly, verbatim, word by word, from Isaiah 48:20. And you could go on and on and on. And here's my claim, that the term Armageddon is also taken from the book of Isaiah. I have good friends who differ, very clever friends actually, and it is common to say that Armageddon reflects the Mount Carmel, because Megiddo was a great city on a great plain, and far away from Megiddo you could see a mountain range. You can see it still today if it's clear weather, and one of these mountains is Carmel. And that is certainly an association or connotation you can have to the battles that were fought there, but I think there is more to it. Armageddon means the mountain of Megiddo, if we take it literally. But there was no mountain, the plain of Megiddo. However, it is said to be a Hebrew term. You don't find the term the mountain of Megiddo anywhere in the Old Testament, but you do find in Isaiah 14 a term that is very close. Let's read from the mocking song, the funeral dirge of the king of Babylon in chapter 14, moving beyond the literal king of Babylon to the power, the spiritual power behind him. Verse 12 and 13 in Isaiah 14. "How you have fallen from heaven, O morning star, son of dawn. You have been cast down to the earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of the sacred mountain." Here is a description of a power that aspires to be like God and to sit on his throne with him. Now, this is the antagonist of Jesus Christ, who is prophesied in the book of Isaiah as a suffering servant in chapter 52, 13 to 53. Just the opposite attitude. Here, Lucifer, the son of the dawn, aspires to become like God. Jesus, who was God, became a human being and humbled himself and served, and is then, after that, exalted. So two opposites. Let's look closer. There is an expression here said about the ambition of Lucifer. "I will sit enthroned on the Mount of Assembly." Here reading from the New International Version. You have various translations, of course. The expression in Hebrew is simple enough, ha-moed. The expression consists of two words, ha, which is the very common word for mountain, and then moed, which is a very common word as well, actually. It is found in general in the Old Testament to designate festivals or feasts celebrated by the Israelites. Most places it's in its plural form, and then it simply is a designation for the festivals in general. That is the case in most of the Torah of Pentateuch. It can be the feast, as in Zephaniah 3:18, the feast of the Lord, Hosea 9:15, Lamentations 1:15. Or it can be the time set, the appointed time for God's meeting with his people, like in Daniel 8:19 and Habakkuk 2:3, both referring to the time where God comes for judgment and deliverance. It could also mean the place where the congregation of God would gather. The Ha Moed, the place for meeting with God, which was in the Old Testament, Mount Zion. So this is my simple suggestion. Ha Moed is Mount Zion. It is said it is on the utmost heights but some other translations will say in the far north. How could Mount Zion be in the far north? That is not geographically speaking, but symbolically speaking. Notice Psalm 48 saying, "Great is the Lord," from verse 1, "and most worthy of praise, in the city of our God, his holy mountain." And then it is described as being in the far excess of the north. So Ha Moed is Mount Zion. This is a place that Lucifer aspires to conquer and where he aspires to sit on the throne with God. But then you say, Ha Moed, how does that become Armageddon? It sounds like some different phonetics here, but it's far simpler than we think. Let's look at the the Greek term, Armageddon. Ha is mountain, sometimes just R in English translations, and then we have Megiddo, or Megiddon. The ending on is a typical Greek suffix. Now, then you have three basic radicals or consonants. You have an M sound, a D sound, and a D sound. Those are the three basic consonant signs of the Hebrew word, and it's specifically told to be a Hebrew word in Revelation 16:16. So you have M and D, but in the middle when we say Ha Moed, it doesn't sound like a D. No, because I'm not very good at in pronouncing it, and most Westerners don't. It's a guttural sound, and behind that guttural sound you have a softer guttural sound, and then you actually also had a hard D. In words like Gad or Gomorrah, the first letter in Hebrew is the same. It is the ayin or yagayin. So if you understand it that way, you realize that Ha Moed or Armageddon or Armageddon is very close. This is a phonetic origin. I think, that's my view, it makes sense in the context of also the book of Revelation. This is a power that aspires to sit on the throne of God, to conquer the throne of God in his heavenly temple, to take the place that belongs to Jesus Christ, alone, alongside our Heavenly Father. Thank you for listening to this somewhat extra tidbit or appetizer from the book of Isaiah.